Did you know that 60% of Americans have snakes as their #1 phobia? Well, even if you're a tough guy and you're not scared of normal snakes, you will be terrified of these ones. The creatures we're going to look at today look like they're straight out of a movie. But these snakes are no Hollywood production, they've been found all over the world. From construction workers finding gigantic anacondas to a woman being eaten alive by a python. I'm Charlie and today we're going to look at the biggest snakes ever found. Before we jump into it, why not help out Top 10s by subscribing and pressing the notification bell. Construction anaconda. This snake was found in Brazil on a construction site. The builders were stunned when they found this snake. They quickly caught it and measured it, and it was 33 feet long. That's 10 meters. The gigantic anaconda weighs nearly 900 pounds. And it was found right after an explosion was carried out in an Altamira cave. That demolition was to make way for a new construction that these builders were making, but their plans were interrupted by this humongous anaconda. The snake's 1 meter diameter body was caught on camera by the workers. They had to chain it onto a construction crane and then drive it out on the road to remove it from the building site. While this was happening, onlookers' jaws dropped. Now, sadly, the workers had to take the snake out as they couldn't do anything else with it. And this made a lot of people on social media very upset. But to be fair, what could they have done? You can't exactly take this thing home as a pet. This actually broke world records for the largest anaconda in the world. It was previously held by a 25-foot snake from Kansas City, but this 33-foot Brazilian snake blew that out of the park. Giant river anaconda. This action-packed video really looks like it's out of a film, but no, it was caught by 3 amateur fishermen in the Amazon rainforest in Brazil. The 3 amateur fishermen were in their small boat going down the Amazon River. That is when all of a sudden they realize they're sharing the river with a gigantic serpent creature. This is an anaconda and it looks much bigger than normal. That is because it's still digesting its meal from before. Anacondas store up food inside them and digest it over a long period of time. One man uses his oar to poke the snake. The snake then uses its massive weight to push the boat away. The men tried to grab the snake's tail to try and capture this snake. I'm not sure why they wanted to catch this snake, maybe they thought they could sell it for money. After all, snake skin is used on the black market in luxury fashion. But the guys messed up by filming themselves committing a crime. They were later fined 3,200 Brazilian real. That's around $600 for being careless and harming an animal. They were also charged with hunting wildlife without a license. If found guilty, they could face up to a 1.5 years behind bars. Guys, if you try and capture a giant anaconda without a license, pro tip, don't film it. Woman eaten by python. We all know that one of the scariest things about snakes is that they can eat you alive. Then when you're inside the snake, they begin to digest you with their stomach acids. Well, in the summer of 2018, something like this happened on an Indonesian island. A 54-year-old woman named Wakiba had left her home. She was going from her modest house on Luna Island to her cornfield that she owned. But the next morning, she never returned home, so her sister went out looking for her. All around her home is wildlife, so it was very hard to look for her. But eventually, her sister found her footprints, her flashlight, and her machete. It didn't take long for the rest of her family and nearly 100 other locals to form a massive search party to try and find her. But sadly, instead of finding her alive, they found a 23-foot-long snake. This was around 150 feet away from her belongings. The python was very bloated, meaning it must have ate something human-sized recently. The python had the woman inside and because of it could barely move. So the villagers quickly took the python into the town and sliced open its belly with a machete. Inside they found Wa. Her body was still intact, but she was not alive. Later that afternoon, she was given a big ceremony and a traditional religious burial. It's very sad that Wa was taken out by this massive python, but at least they did find the python and Wa's body. Peruvian anaconda. This video was caught in September of 2013, and it was caught in the Peruvian part of the Amazon River. Resting on the edge of the river, some men found a gigantic anaconda. It was laying pretty much motionless because it was digesting a massive animal it just ate. This meant it could not escape these men and was easily captured. The villagers caught many photos and videos of this massive reptile, but sadly they also took the reptile out. That may seem harsh, but that's the culture in these areas. Anacondas sometimes take human lives, so they can never be too careful. But that did not stop many social media users being very outraged by these people. Longest python. The python you're about to see was caught in Malaysia, and much like the Brazilian anaconda we saw before, this was also caught on a construction site. I don't know what it is about construction sites, but they seem to be a breeding ground for gigantic snakes. The difference between this snake though was that it's a python. Pythons are usually smaller than anacondas, but this one measured at 26.2 feet. In 2016, this was the then largest snake ever caught. The Malaysian builders caught this snake and removed it peacefully. But sadly, the massive python passed away 3 days later while laying an egg. The snake was very hard to transport as it was longer than any pickup truck. Instead, they had to use a massive crane to remove it. Pythons which are that size can lay up to 80 eggs, but for some unexplained reason, this python passed away after laying an egg. That's very sad, but at least these construction workers were able to peacefully remove this massive python, and of course capture amazing images of this wildlife world record. The Nabau. Borneo is the third largest island in the world and the largest in all of Asia. It's shared by Malaysia, Indonesia, and Brunei. But on it is a very scary legend of the Nabau. This is said to be a terrifying snake more than 100 feet in length. It also is said to have 7 nostrils and the head of a dragon. It's said to live in the Belait River. But now villagers are living in more fear of this snake than ever. That is because a few years back, an aerial photo caught something very scary. A photographer in a helicopter saw a massive shape in the Belait River. He took some photos, and when he got back home, his jaw dropped. That is because he appears to have caught a massive snake swimming along the remote river. The photographer was in a helicopter owned by the Malaysian government, and he is a member of a disaster team monitoring floods in the area. According to the Straits Times, a local paper, many villagers have seen the snake in real life. But this is the first time it was caught on camera. Titanoboa. The Titanoboa is said to be the largest snake in history, but it's now extinct. However, fossils of this have been found in Colombia which date back to 60 million years ago. The snake was 42 feet in length, and it could reach a weight of 2,500 pounds. According to the Smithsonian Magazine, this is the largest snake ever discovered. The fossils of this snake were found in a coal mine in Colombia. This mine extracts 32 million tons of coal every year. They dug down so deep they found an amazing geological discovery. At first, the fossils were thought to be from dinosaurs because they were so big, but it turns out it was actually a 40-foot long snake. According to Smithsonian Magazine, it behaved like a modern-day anaconda. It dwelled in waters and would eat any animal that caught its eye. The snake would also be very, very large and as tall as a man's waist. The fossil of this thing is absolutely terrifying, and it's scary to think something this terrifying actually existed in real life, not in a movie. World War Snake. This photo dates back all the way to World War II. It was caught by a high-ranking Belgian fighter pilot. The squadron leader, named Reddy van Leerde, was flying over the Congo in a helicopter, but as he was heading back to base, he was amazed to see a gigantic snake below. He told his crew to bring the helicopter lower to get a better look of the snake and take some photos. But then the massive snake lunged into the air and tried to attack the helicopter and bring it down. Luckily, they were very skilled and avoided the snake, but they guessed the snake was around 50 feet long. Eventually, the photos were sent to the CIA headquarters, and they confirmed it would have been around 50 feet long. However, some of the CIA said the snake could have been around 200 feet long. Just think, the largest snake ever found was 33 feet long. That's the one on the Brazilian construction site. So this World War II snake could have been more than 6 times as large as that. The real question is though, will we ever find a snake bigger than 200 feet long? Of course, this was never totally confirmed, but the CIA is a pretty good source. Do you agree with the 200-foot long number? What do you think based on the image we have? It's pretty unbelievable to think these creatures, which look so scary and prehistoric, live among us today. Hopefully, as we explore more and more of the world and rainforests, we'll find even larger snakes. It seems like, based on the information we have, Asia is the best place to find gigantic snakes. But if that photo taken during World War II is anything to go by, we should explore the Congo a lot more. Hi, Charlie here. We don't know much about the ocean. It covers 70% of our world, but we've explored a measly 5% of it. What we do know, however, is that there are some gigantic creatures lurking beneath the sea. Some of these gigantic things are pretty obvious, but others are more hidden, and you can even see them on beaches near you. Great white shark. The great white shark is a predatory fish, and it's the largest known on Earth. It can grow up to 20 feet in length. They're said to be one of the most feared ocean creatures on Earth, and they've been massive inspirations in popular culture, for example in Sharknado and Jaws. The amazing thing about the great white shark is it's at the peak of the food chain. This means it has no predators. But the great white shark isn't just feared underwater. Sometimes these come onto land and take out humans. And they've even been known to jump out of the water and attack seabirds. These can sometimes weigh more than 5,000 pounds. And they're normally found on the coast of Australia, South Africa, and also California and the northern United States. Despite how massive some whales are, great white sharks even eat whales. Scarily, they can swim at speeds of 20 miles an hour according to National Geographic. And unlike most fish, the great white shark is warm-blooded, not cold-blooded. This means it can regulate its own body temperature, and this allows it to adapt to pretty much any type of water. Portuguese man-o-war. If you saw one of these on a beach, you would not assume it's one of the biggest sea creatures in the world. But that's because it's not only big and dangerous, it's also very sneaky. The Portuguese man-o-war is actually 3 different species. Portuguese man-o-wars are marine hydrozoans. It's also a siphonophore. That's because the Portuguese man-o-war is a group of organisms that work together. When it's underwater, it's absolutely gigantic. Look below the surface and its tentacles average 30 feet long, but they can sometimes reach around 150 feet. And the largest ever discovered has been 165 feet long. But if you do ever see one of these on the beach, then run and call for help. That's because their stings are enough to take out a human being. In 2018, 204 people in Florida were treated for these stings. They can cause muscle cramps, elevated heart rates, and vomiting, and in some cases even take a human's life. But these venomous tentacles are what make them so gigantic. Ocean sunfish. The ocean sunfish is also known as the swimming head. That's because that's exactly what it looks like. It has no tail. This massive creature can grow 10 feet long and tall. Without a tail, it swims with its fins, which can actually extend in size. They feed on jellyfish, squids, and other fish. The sunfish weighs more than a car. The average weight is around 2,200 pounds, but they can grow up to 5,000 pounds. They also lay more eggs than any other animal. Sunfish can lay up to 300 million eggs at one time. They also feed on very deep sea creatures. They can dive down to depths of 2,600 feet. Because the sunfish is so bizarre, there's lots of scientific debate about it. Some marine biologists actually argue that it's a type of plankton. That's because it appears to drift with the current rather than swim. But other tracking of this fish has proved inconclusive. Whale shark. Whale sharks are slow-moving, but absolutely gigantic. They barely have to hunt for their food because they swim with their mouth open. This means they simply hover up any fish or plankton that gets in their way. They're normally around 40 feet long, but ones nearer to 45 feet long have been found. There's lots of debate about whether this is a whale or a shark. But seeing as humans can actually swim with whale sharks without being eaten, I think this is more whale than shark. After all, despite being so high up in the food chain, it eats pretty small things like plankton and fish. Amazingly, whale sharks are also some of the oldest fish in the world. They can live up to the age of 150. Unlike other sharks, they move very slowly at about 3 miles an hour. But it turns out one of the biggest threats to this amazing animal is us humans. Because they swim with their mouths wide open, they often eat up plastic bags. In some Asian countries, they're also hunted for their fins. And according to the WWF, the whale shark population is dwindling. Lion's mane jellyfish. This jellyfish may actually be scarier than a lion. It is the largest jellyfish in the world after all, and it also has some of the most potent poison. It can reach a diameter of nearly 7 feet, and its tentacles can be over 50 feet. The lion's mane can reach a length of 180 feet end to end, and it's made up of more than 1,200 tentacles. It may not be the more than 200,000 hairs that makes up a lion's mane, but it is something. They come in a variety of colors: red, purple, and orange. And they're legendary on the coasts of Rye, New Hampshire. That's because on June 16th, 2010, one of these stung 100 swimmers. The lion's mane jellyfish is not immortal though, as it only lives for 1 year. And like other jellyfish, it has no brain. The good thing is, they're not being affected by humans or climate change. According to scientists, the lion's mane jellyfish population is booming. Blue whale. Blue whales are amazing and massive. They can reach a length of 100 feet, and they can weigh up to 200 tons. That's the equivalent to 37 elephants. In fact, just their tongue is the weight of one elephant. Their heart weighs as much as a car. Blue whales mainly feast on small fish and also small shrimp named krill, but they have to eat about 4 tons of this stuff per day. Probably the amount of fish humans would eat in a lifetime. Because of their gigantic size, they only move at 5 miles an hour. They are the largest known animals to have ever lived on Earth. But according to the World Conservation Union, there's only 10,000 to 25,000 left. Around 2,000 of those are off the coast of California. To get a real idea of how large these things are, check out this size comparison I made. As you can see, they're much bigger than 2 school buses, and much larger than 6 cars. Even 15 6-foot men stacked on top of each other is nothing compared to this massive animal. Oarfish. When the oarfish was first captured in photographs, people thought it was a hoax. But that's just because this very real fish is so mysterious. It is the world's largest bony fish, and the largest one ever found was 36 feet long. It's very slender and doesn't have much detail. This has led to many thinking that it's a dragon or a sea serpent. But these can be found in any waters which have tropical temperatures. Sadly, unless you're going on a very rare submarine mission, you'll likely never see one of these in person. That's because they travel in ocean areas far deeper than most humans would ever go. They normally live around 3,000 feet below the sea level. That's why in 2013, when one was washed up on a California beach, scientists were stunned. It makes you wonder how it ended up there. And according to the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, they taste very strange. They've been described as tasting like gelatinous goo. But I'd like to meet the man who had the nerve to eat one of these. Fin whale. The fin whale is an endangered species, which is also massive. They can be 90 feet in length and weigh over 120 tons. They're also nicknamed the Greyhound of the Sea. Basking shark. A basking shark can reach 26 feet in length, but the largest have been over 40 feet and weigh more than 5 tons. Their skin is so rough that if you touch it, you will be injured. Giant squid. Giant squids can be as massive as 43 feet. They're found in the deepest parts of the ocean, and because they live so deep, many debate how many are actually left on Earth. Some say their population is dwindling, but we're really not sure. Some scientists even believe that there's only one species of these left in existence. Giant Pacific octopus. Enteroctopus, better known as the giant Pacific octopus, is massive. Its tentacles can be anywhere from 10 feet to 20 feet. It's normally found off the coast of northwest North America. For example, off the coast of states like Oregon, Washington, and British Columbia in Canada. They weigh about the same as a human being, 160 pounds. But the world record giant Pacific octopus weighed 600 pounds and had a 32 feet arm span. Giant clam. Giant clams can sometimes be 4 foot 6 inches wide, and they can weigh more than 500 pounds. They're found in deep waters and also shallow surfaces near the beach. The weight of these clams' bodies is sometimes enough to pull human beings down, so if you ever see one, swim well away. Sadly though, these amazing and gigantic clams are endangered, and in decades to come, they may even go extinct. Giant spider crab. You can find this crab off the coast of Japan, hence its nickname, the Japanese spider crab. It has the largest leg span in the arthropod family. It protects itself from underwater predators with its hard exoskeleton. But now that humans fish for it, it can't protect itself from us. It's also naturally camouflaged to hide with sand and other marine life. But now it's time to make your voice heard. Comment below which was the most amazing underwater creature on this list. Many people want to become bodybuilders. They make a lot of money, get a lot of girls, and look pretty tough. But sometimes people don't want to put in all of the effort to build up that muscle. And depending on what experts you speak to, some will say it's impossible to actually get what they want in real life. So that's why many bodybuilders will use things like synthol and other chemicals to have fake muscles. All of the bodybuilders on this list are allegedly using synthol, but they've all been reported on by major newspapers, so I think it's safe to say these guys are not playing by the book. I'm Charlie, and today we're going to look at fake bodybuilders who took it way too far. But before I get hunted down and pummeled by a bunch of bodybuilders, why not subscribe and press the notification bell too? Coming up first, we have Valdir Segato. When this guy was a kid, he was nicknamed Skinny Dog. That's because he was a very skinny boy when he was growing up in Brazil. But today, he's much more comparable to the Incredible Hulk or maybe He-Man. He has apparently risked his life putting dangerous concoctions into his muscles. According to the Sun newspaper, he's addicted to using this. He said he wanted to be the biggest guy in his street, but I think that's pretty much done. Now he may even be the biggest man in Brazil. He's currently 48 years old and from Sao Paulo, Brazil. His biceps are 23 inches, and that's because he's been using a synthol. This is basically a very deadly mix of oil, alcohol, and painkillers. And he's not drinking and eating this stuff, he injects it into his muscles. He regularly puts this into his chest, biceps, and shoulders. And this apparently makes his muscles swell up to almost double size. But this stuff is very dangerous for many reasons. It can cause nerve damage, infections, ulcers, and in some cases, strokes and even passing away. Doctors have warned him many times to stop doing this. But he's been doing it since 2013 and is still living. He has thousands of Instagram followers and many of his followers nickname him the Hulk. His muscles literally look like square blocks from Minecraft. But apparently they're a big help to him at his construction job. Next up, we have Kirill Tereshin. Get ready to say Privyat to the Popeye of Russia. This guy's muscles are 24 inches. And he achieved this by injecting them with oil. However, he now wants to travel to the UK for surgery to save his arms. His muscles look like soccer balls on his very skinny body. He's become super famous on social media for having such gigantic arms. He used to be a normal gym goer and would simply lift weights. But a few years back, he was called up for Russian military service. This is known for being very, very tough, and he was worried that in the army he would lose lots of weight. So instead of building up his muscles, he tried out some synthol oil. His mother was very worried at first, but she's now more relaxed. That's because she realizes the synthol can be removed. But apparently he can't find a doctor in Russia that will do this. That's why he's now trying to raise money to fly to the UK to get the synthol removed. Doctors did warn him that his arms may have to be amputated if he can't do this. The cost of the treatment he wants is 3 million rubles. That's a bit over 40,000 US dollars. And seeing as he has so many fans online, he may just make that money. Next up is Tony Geraldo and Alvaro Pereira. These two Brazilian brothers are gigantic muscle addicts. According to the Sun newspaper, their nickname is the Chemical Brothers. And that's because these two Brazilian bros have been injecting themselves with chemicals. They've managed to get 28-inch biceps from doing this. And they did it using Potene B12. This is a chemical normally used for horses and cows, but instead they've been using it themselves twice a week. Their real names are Tony and Alvaro, but they go by Hulk and Conan respectively. They are willing to do anything to get big muscles, and that includes using Potene B12. Potene B12 is very addictive. It causes terrible damage to your kidney and liver, and it can even cause depression. Tony's wife even said that she doesn't like him injecting, but he said if you don't like it, then leave. Alpha move, Tony. He said him and his brother were once addicted to this stuff, but apparently they now have it under control but are still using it. The brothers also eat 12,000 calories per day. This includes a breakfast of 12 bananas and 6 egg whites each. The brothers used to be pretty skinny, but those days are over. Next up is Ronnie Rono. This bodybuilder is from Nairobi, Kenya. He was hooked on getting big and using synthol injections to do so. However, according to Kenyan news site MassiveUpdates.com, he passed away. This happened late last year in 2019. He was apparently admitted to Greenview Hospital for 2 weeks. His arms had apparently wasted away and his body was very swollen, and when he saw himself in a mirror he burst into tears. Doctors say that this was caused by his synthol injections. A small swelling began in his right arm, and then it spread to his chest before he passed on. He had an autopsy, but doctors could not work out what had actually taken his life. This is incredibly sad and a wake-up call to any bodybuilders using synthol. Next up is Baghdad Bodybuilder. This bodybuilder is from Baghdad in Iraq. According to sickchirps.com, he's known for injecting his muscles with synthol. His arms are about double the size of a person's head. His muscles do look very swollen and bulgy, which is a sign of synthol use. Real muscles are much more how a body would normally look, but if they look inflated and swollen, this is a sign that synthol has been used. He's apparently very big on Iraqi social media, but I hope his fans don't go to his head and he stops using these chemicals. We've already seen what happened to the Kenyan bodybuilder Ronnie Rono, so let's hope that doesn't also happen to the bodybuilder of Baghdad. Next up is Rodrigo Ferraz. Rodrigo Ferraz is actually a meme known as Synthol Man. According to knowyourmeme.com, he is a Brazilian bodybuilder who has used synthol, and he's actually appeared in many YouTube videos dancing and showing off his big muscles. Now, this guy's muscles do look very fake, but I have to say they don't look as big as some of the other people on this list. So maybe there's still some hope for Rodrigo. That being said, where his shoulders look kind of spiked is a sign that synthol has been used. But despite him not looking as crazy as some of the other people on this list, he's still built up a pretty big fan base. But hopefully these fans don't encourage him to use any chemicals, as we've already seen what will happen if you use too many of those. Next up we have Triple Muscles. This image is of a bodybuilder known as Clover Arm. That's because his arm kind of looks like a 3-leafed clover, or in my opinion, more like a fidget spinner. If he was smart, he would bring out his own fidget spinner and make millions. But really, we don't have tons of information on this man. All we know is that he has gigantic muscles, and according to hypersloth.com, he has used synthol. In the image appears to be a female bodybuilder, but I don't think she is using any chemicals. Him, on the other hand, I'm not so sure. The rest of his body does not look big enough for his arms to be that huge, so it only makes sense. But what do you think about his muscles? Leave a comment, are they real or fake? Next up is Mega Arms. This image was apparently taken in Russia, so maybe these guys are friends of Kirill Tereshin from before. I'm not sure whether these guys have been using synthol or not, but according to hypersloth.com they have. The guy on the left really does look like the real life Popeye, as he even has Popeye's shirt. The curious thing about this man is his body does not look too fit apart from his arms, and also his arms look very swollen at the back, which is another sign of synthol use. His friend also hasn't been using as much synthol as him, but still a lot. As you can see, his muscles come all the way up to his elbow. That is very unhealthy and uncommon. So let's hope these guys lay off the chemicals and get back into the gym. And finally on the list, we have Chinese bodybuilder. This image went viral in 2018, and it's apparently of a Chinese bodybuilder at a bodybuilding contest. According to some news outlets, he has square muscles, but frankly I'm not sure if this one is real or not. I don't doubt that with body modifications you would be able to do this, but I'm not sure if purely using chemicals would give this effect. But you never know, maybe this guy is a real life Minecraft character. Leave a comment telling me if you think this guy is real or not.
What makes Mortal Kombat different from other fighting games is the fact that they feature many iconic characters from famous science fiction and horror movies. So far, Mortal Kombat has hosted exactly 10 guest characters in the last 3 games, and that is excluding those who have been featured in Mortal Kombat vs DC Universe, who will not be taken into account in this list. So with this in mind, here's the top 10 list of the most badass guest characters in Mortal Kombat. Number 10. RoboCop. RoboCop's real name is Alex Murphy, a police officer who was brutally executed by a local gang and was resurrected by the OCP Corporation. With cutting-edge technology, Murphy was transformed into RoboCop, a highly advanced cybernetic police officer designed to uphold the law and protect the innocent. For that reason, RoboCop can be heard saying nasty things about the Black Dragon members, who are some of the most vicious mercenaries in Mortal Kombat.
On your knees, scumbag. Make me, you tin-plated freak. I will apply the necessary force to make you comply.
Number 9. Freddy Krueger. This dream-stalking assassin relies on his agility, stamina, and durability while maintaining a small portion of his powers that allow him to teleport and use his gloves in various ways in combat. Freddy's most impressive move is his first finisher, where he disappears from view, reappears behind the opponent, impales them, then drags them into a hole out of which a lot of blood is spewed. This move is actually based on the way he killed Glenn Lance in the original Nightmare on Elm Street movie. Number 8. Leatherface. Despite not having any superhuman powers or abilities, Leatherface does possess incredible strength, being able to swing around a heavy chainsaw, which he uses in pretty much all his combos and finishers. Just like Freddy Krueger, Leatherface's victory pose is a reference to the ending of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. Number 7. Alien. Also known as Xenomorph, is one of the most exceptional characters to have ever been featured in a video game. In Mortal Kombat, Alien possesses a physical structure that is far more superior than that of other fighters, making her arguably the most dangerous character introduced so far in the game. Alien's most distinct feature is her sharp tail, as well as the segmented blades that she uses to rip, slice, and impale opponents during combat. Alien wins. Number 6. Kratos. This notable anti-hero is considered one of the most influential video game characters of all time. In combat, Kratos' fighting style relies heavily on his signature Blades of Exile, which come in really handy in combos. As a Greek demigod, Kratos has the ability to pull out Medusa's head to turn his opponents to stone before shattering them into small pieces. Kratos wins. Fatality. Number 5. Spawn. Originally known by the name of Al Simmons, was resurrected by a major demon after his tragic death at the hands of a man whom he believed to be his close friend. Upon his return to life, Simmons realizes that the main responsible for his death was his former boss at the CIA, Jason Wynn. As a result, Simmons, who now is a Hellspawn, quickly becomes a merciless punisher, brutalizing everybody that gets in his way, including MK characters.
Ready to freeze 10 hells over? First, we must train together. Training's over. Time for assholes to die.
In combat, Spawn relies heavily on his health chains and submachine guns to subdue his opponents from a distance. Number 4. The Predator. This high-tech alien is one of the very few characters in Mortal Kombat that possesses the ability to render himself completely invisible, making him one of the most difficult opponents to defeat. Predator has access to advanced weapons and technology such as his plasma caster, which is able to fire deadly bolts of energy that can tear through anything with a single shot. Probably the most interesting move that the Predator performs is the self-detonate finisher, which destroys both fighters in the process. Predator wins. This move is actually a reference to how the Predator killed himself at the end of the original movie. Number 3. The Joker. This supervillain is widely regarded as one of the greatest fictional characters ever created. Being DC's most well-known antagonist, the Joker has visited the Mortal Kombat roster not once but twice, which already puts him in a special place compared to other guest characters. When it comes to his combat style, the Joker has an extremely unique way of fighting which reflects his clownish appearance. For instance, the Joker uses an extendo box glove, a jack-in-the-box, and even a puppet to beat down his opponents. Number 2. The Terminator. Otherwise known as T-800, is a cybernetic organism that is designed for infiltration and assassination missions. As a result, the Terminator was expected to be featured in a Mortal Kombat entry sooner or later. Being a cybernetic killing machine, the Terminator utilizes inhumane strength and extensive knowledge of weapons and firearms to neutralize his opponents in combat. The most interesting feature about the Terminator in this game is that when he's about to be defeated in battle, he turns into an endoskeleton. During this time, the Terminator is granted an armor and the opponent will not be able to perform combos, throws, or fatalities.
The Terminator wins.
Number 1. Jason Voorhees. Jason is without a doubt the most badass character that has ever been hosted in Mortal Kombat. This ruthless killing machine is one of the fans' most favorite antagonists of all time, who possesses immeasurable strength and power. His undead nature renders him completely relentless and nearly unstoppable. In fact, Jason is so badass that even when a brutality is performed on him, he will still do his resurrection animation during his opponent's post-brutality victory pose. Unfortunately, Jason won't likely ever visit the Mortal Kombat roster again, but there have been rumors that Michael Myers, who's in many ways similar to Jason, can make it in a future MK entry. So who's your favorite guest character? Who would you like to see next? Let us know in the comment section down below. For more, make sure to like the video and subscribe to GameLution.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Charlie here, and today we're going to be looking at the most epic transport operations in history. So we likely transport things every day. Maybe we just put it in our car, or maybe we use the postal service. But there are some things so massive you won't believe they were moved anywhere. You may assume that ginormous buildings and machines are built on the spot, but a lot of the time these are built and then moved in various amazing ways. Before we get into it, why not move over to that subscribe button, press it, and press the notification bell too. Coming in at number 10 we have Bagger 288. Imagine the biggest car, biggest ship, biggest plane in the world. They'd all be pretty big vehicles, but the Bagger 288 is the largest land vehicle in the world. It's a massive digger and it looks absolutely terrifying. It's 27 million pounds and is used to dig mines. It can also level massive ridges and move mountain ranges. It was built by a German company designed for coal mining, but it can do many more things than just that. And it's thought to have cost over $1 billion to build. But it's worth the investment, as it can dig 480 million pounds of coal every single day. That's a market value of over $10 million per day. Well, one day it had finished mining in Germany and needed to be moved to another mine 14 miles away. So the Bagger 288 had to move across the Autobahn, which is the German highway. This is a highway where there is no speed limit. The Bagger 88 also had to go across railway tracks and even a river. Now, seeing as this is so massive, you may assume thousands of people were involved in this. But amazingly, this only took 70 people to supervise. That is because it has 3 12-foot wide tank treads. This allows it to go pretty much anywhere. But not only was the transportation difficult, it also cost around $20 million. But it's still cheaper than building a brand new one for over $1 billion. Next up is Vatican statues. This one proved that epic transportation feats don't always have to include big things. Sometimes they just have to be super valuable and precious. It's where every culture and country comes together to share. Nearly 100 nations were in attendance of this, and they sent over various things like restaurants and relics for people to look at. But out of every country that went, the most popular was the Vatican. That is because they did something they've never done before: send over 2 statues from the Vatican. Pope John Paul decided to send over 2 very valuable Vatican statues. One of these was Michelangelo's Pieta. This is said to be a literally priceless statue which is in the Vatican most of the time. The Good Shepherd statue was also moved to New York for the event. These were put in 2.5-ton steel cases to prevent from any dangers. In case its cargo ship sank, the container could actually float. And even if the ship did sink, it could still be found due to a GPS tracker and a light beacon system. They only took out $6 million of insurance on these statues. And as I said, the price of them is literally, well, priceless. Next up is Super Guppy. The Super Guppy is owned by NASA and is a massive, unusual looking plane. If you're wondering who sits in this plane, it's not people, instead it's another plane. This is jet-powered and is built with warehouse material. The plane itself is very light and has to be, as it has to hold over 27 tons. There are only 5 of these in existence, and NASA have been building them since the 1960s. Unlike any other plane on Earth, there's a side hinge to this plane to get the other aeroplanes inside. NASA moved things such as T-38 jets inside these. And in one instance, they even moved 2 T-38 jets at the same time. Many say that alien and UFO spacecrafts are also transported using the Super Guppy. Next up, we have G2 Magnet. So the new on G2 Magnet is a 50-foot wide magnet, but it had to be moved over 3,400 miles. Amazingly, they did this by road and it took over 35 days. That's right, over a month just to use one magnet. They mainly did this by road, but in some cases they did have to use a boat to cross over rivers. But what was the world's largest magnet even used for? Well, it was needed for what's called the Nuon experiment. This was an experiment involving subatomic particles. A 60-ton metal truck and apparatus was used to move this magnet around, and it was equipped all the time with a massive police motorcade. It cost around $30 million to move this thing. And no one took any breaks while moving this, they just took shifts for 35 days. Because it's so delicate, it could only move a few miles per hour. I'm just glad I didn't get stuck behind this on the highway. Next up is Saturn V Apollo rocket. If you thought NASA's Super Guppy was an epic feat of transportation, check this out. Of course, one of the most famous transportations was transporting man to the moon. Now, you can control where a rocket launches from, but you can't control where it lands. Or at least back in the 1960s you couldn't. So when the Apollo 11 rockets landed, how did NASA get them back to their facility? Well, one rocket which never took off, which had to be moved back, was the Apollo 19 138-foot rocket. This was made in 1973 and was to be used for the last ever lunar mission. It was outside of the NASA factory that made it, but in June of 1973 it had to be moved to the border between Mississippi and Louisiana. The journey was only 40 miles, but it took nearly 6 days to complete. It was moved along the Pearl River and was quite a sight to see. Next up is oil rig. The Eni Norge oil rig is the largest oil rig on the planet. It's located in Norway, but it had to be moved when they found more oil. So you may be wondering, how do you move an oil rig? Well, they used something called the Dockwise Vanguard. This is one of the largest ships on Earth and it was made in Holland. First, they had to move the ship from South Korea all the way to Norway. Then they had to use the world's largest power cord to move this ginormous oil rig. Next up is nuclear reactor. One day a company from Saudi Arabia had to transport a 1,500-ton nuclear reactor. Not only that, it had to go over 700 miles on steep desert hills. 2 hydraulic trailers took it up various long winding roads. The motorcade they had was absolutely massive and involved around 20 vehicles at a time. They had to attach around 40 trucks and trailers to support the weight and the length of this thing. But amazingly, this only required one driver to manage the entire system. However, around 100 people at any given time were supervising this massive operation. Next up, we have meteorite. This one took place a while back in 1894. American Robert Peary traveled to Greenland to view the Cape York meteorite. The Cape York meteorite actually landed 10,000 years ago before it was discovered. Only a few Inuits were living on the area, so they were amazed when Peary showed up. He even transported the solid iron ore meteorite back to New York. Him and his team made massive railroads and ginormous iron chain links. This was then transported onto boats and it now resides in the American Museum of Natural History. If you live in New York, go and check it out and let me know how big this meteorite really is. Next up is binocular telescope. So telescopes can be small things you have in your bedroom or ginormous things used by NASA. But what about the largest binocular telescope in the world? Well, one day the world's largest telescope had to be moved to the top of Emerald Peak Mountain in Arizona, and the 30-foot long telescope required over a year of planning. The actual transportation took over a week as well. They did have to drive over 10,000 miles up to the top of this mountain to place the telescope there. But amazingly, they did it with a heavily enforced cargo load. The telescope itself is around 40,000 pounds. But as they cleared all the roads, they were able to go quite fast at 45 miles per hour. The telescope is now responsible for some of the best ever views of space from Earth. Next up is aerial crane. Have you ever heard of an aerial crane? You likely haven't, as they're very rare but also amazing. An aerial crane is where a helicopter is used to carry a heavy load. Have you ever wondered how large electrical pylons are moved around? Well, they use an aerial crane using helicopters. Aerial cranes are also sometimes used for moving cargo off ships. And in one unbelievable photo, aerial cranes are seen picking up a ship. I really would love to experience an amazing aerial crane in person. Let me know if you guys have. Click and vote in the poll in the top right corner and you can choose.
YouTube has totally changed the face of entertainment worldwide and created some huge stars along the way. It seems so simple, right? Just record yourself doing something cool, post it online, and next thing you know, you're in YouTube Rewind, right? Well, there's actually a lot more hard work that goes into being a YouTuber, but the rewards can be incredible. Some of the richest new celebrities from the past decade have come from YouTube. But just how much do the biggest YouTubers make? Today I've put together a list of some of the highest earning YouTubers around right now. And keep in mind that these numbers are based on ad revenue alone, as most big YouTubers sell merch, do brand deals, and way more. That being said, let's get it on. KSI. KSI is one of the biggest YouTubers to come out of England, with a respectable 20+ million subscribers. He made a name for himself through FIFA videos and rap music, having actually worked with some big names in UK hip-hop. Along the way, he picked up vlogging, and even had a boxing match with American YouTuber Logan Paul, earning an estimated $11 million. With money like that, it's no wonder KSI casually bought a gold iPhone X while walking around a mall in Dubai, coming in at a cool $40,000. But that's chump change compared to some of the massive purchases this UK YouTuber has made. In March of 2019, KSI unveiled his $500,000 custom-made chain modeled after the Dragon Ball Super character, Beerus. The chain contains over 2,000 stones and took 550 hours of craftsmanship to make by one of the best jewelers in London. According to Social Blade, between his two channels, KSI likely makes between $1.2 and $3.2 million annually. Sure is a long way to come from recording yourself playing FIFA. Logan Paul. Probably one of the most controversial YouTubers in the world, or ex-controversial as he now claims.
Just so you know, I am an ex-controversial YouTuber. That's no longer me.
Logan Paul turned his success on the now defunct app Vine into a YouTube empire before the age of 22.
YouTube? Is that you?
Between starring in movies, hosting a YouTuber Olympics, having the #1 podcast in the world, and the largest non-professional boxing match in history, Logan has proven himself to be an incredibly resourceful businessman, and his hard work has more than paid off. The American YouTuber lives in a gorgeous $6.6 million mansion in Encino, California, with 7 bedrooms, a full gym, and a huge podcasting studio inside.
Welcome back to Impulsive, the #1 podcast in the world.
Logan also put $225,000 into converting a regular old yellow school bus into his signature cool bus. While he obviously has a ton of money coming in from brand deals, touring, and his hugely popular Maverick merch, Logan Paul's channel likely brings in between $666,000 and $1.8 million a year. Not bad for a kid from Ohio. Jake Paul. From Disney Channel to YouTube multimillionaire,
Some problems I solve, I'ma run through the money. The pressure be calling. Left on my blessings, I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back. Tell me I'm garbage. I'm going through something, that's why I ain't calling.
the younger brother of Logan Paul, Jake Paul, made a name for himself and was able to break out from his older brother's shadow. Jake's channel grew from nothing to 5 million subscribers in a matter of 6 months, a feat which, at the time, had never been done before, as he likes to remind people in his infamous song, "It's every day, bro."
It's every day, bro, with the Disney Channel flow.
The hugely popular documentary series made by Shane Dawson on the young American YouTuber shows that he's branched out from YouTube into getting paid the big bucks to do speaking engagements at massive business conventions around the world. Combine that with his hugely popular music career and wildly successful merch lines,
Buy that merch.
and Jake Paul is definitely pulling in the big bucks. Jake has a liking for buying nice cars, such as his $132,000 Tesla Model X and $350,000 Lamborghini Huracan being the crown jewels on his prize collection. While most of his money comes in through his merch line, his 19+ million subscriber YouTube channel grosses between $1.3 and $3.4 million a year. Who's the big brother now? Jacksepticeye. Imagine going from being a sub 1K YouTube channel to one of the 3 most well-known gaming channels on the planet. Well, thanks largely in part to an incredibly short shout out from PewDiePie, that's exactly what Jacksepticeye was able to do.
I just got mentioned in a PewDiePie video. Holy...
The Irish YouTuber has amassed a massive audience of nearly 23 million subscribers and counting, frequently collaborating with the other big gamers of the famous trio, Markiplier and PewDiePie. The generous Irishman doesn't like to spend his money to flex, and prefers to use his influence to raise money for various charities, raising millions of dollars over the years for causes like mental health awareness, providing clean water to third world countries, and famously raising $225,000 for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention during a single 8-hour charity livestream. His YouTube channel earns an estimated $3 to $8 million a year from ads alone. That's money that's being put towards a whole lot of good in this world. Dan TDM. The second Brit to make our list, Dan TDM has become a pillar of YouTube since starting his channel way back in 2012. Against all odds, the English gamer has managed to captivate audiences for years, consistently pulling in millions of views with every new upload and garnering an audience of over 21 million. Back in 2014, Business Insider did a piece on Dan and estimated that he earns between $213,000 and $21,300,000 annually. That's a pretty big range for a guess. However, today our most accurate data shows that the British gamer brings in between $3.4 and $9.1 million annually from his YouTube channel alone. If you take into account his merch lines and brand deals, it looks like Business Insider wasn't too far off. David Dobrik. Have you ever wanted to be friends with the characters from your favorite TV shows? Well, David Dobrik made that dream a reality, becoming best friends with Josh Peck from Drake and Josh. Of course, that's no surprise, considering how charismatic and likable the Slovakian vlogger is, and his respectable 13.8 million subscriber channel proves it. Dobrik lives in a $2.5 million mansion in Los Angeles, which he says is not too big, not too small, not too modern, and not too old. Perfectly balanced, as all things should be. Except for that price tag, of course.
I like that a lot.
David doesn't just use his millions to spoil himself, though, and famously prefers to spend it to make his friends happy. And, of course, then record their reactions and post them on YouTube in order to make it back.
Whose is that?
Yours?
No. Oh my god. Holy
So far, he's bought 15 of his friends' brand new cars, with the help of some sponsors, as well as highly sought after Hamilton tickets, which honestly might be worth more than some of those cars. His channel brings in between $4.8 and $13 million a year. All in all, Dobrik is living proof that dreams definitely do come true. Dude Perfect. Okay, so this one isn't so much a YouTuber as it is a team of YouTubers, but trust me, they've definitely earned a spot on this list. Famous for their insane trick shots and crazy sporting feats, it's no wonder that the group of old college roommates from Texas were able to win over the hearts and minds of the entire world when they first broke out on the YouTube scene. With a current subscriber base of over 45 million, Dude Perfect is one of the largest YouTube channels on the planet. The team has also ventured outside YouTube and have their own show, eponymously named The Dude Perfect Show on Nickelodeon and CMT, which has been running since 2016. The group purchased a massive 35,000 square foot warehouse in Frisco, Texas, something you could never find in the YouTube mecca that is LA, back in 2016, and are able to use the space to create some of their craziest tricks yet. I guess everything really is bigger in Texas. But from their huge channel alone, the group rakes in between $5 and $13.2 million a year. Even split 5 ways, that's a lot of money. Ninja. While not making a name for himself on YouTube, the famous streamer Ninja definitely makes a huge impact on the platform. Originally starting as a gaming streamer on Twitch, his YouTube channel is home to the highlights of his gaming career and life, and holds an impressive 22.8 million subscribers. Arguably the most famous celebrity to come from the internet, Ninja was the first esports contender to ever be featured on the cover of Sports Illustrated magazine. He's done brand deals with massive companies like Epic Games, Samsung, Uber, Adidas, and Microsoft, with each deal netting him millions of dollars. In stream donations alone, Ninja earns over $250,000 a month and maintains live audiences of hundreds of thousands at a time, and the highlight reel that is his YouTube channel brings in a passive $500,000 to $1.3 million a year. In 2019, Ninja made a deal with Microsoft to leave Twitch and start streaming exclusively on their debut streaming platform, Mixer, earning him somewhere in the ballpark of $100 million. Just imagine how many V-Bucks you could buy with that. Mr. Beast. Currently one of the most famous names on YouTube, Mr. Beast exploded onto the YouTube scene by giving away thousands of dollars to random streamers,
$35,000 donation says unreal,
and spending huge amounts of money to set insane world records, such as Ubering all the way across the country. Originally uploading for years to almost no views, the North Carolina-born YouTuber struck it big in 2017 when some smart investments in cryptocurrency made him an overnight millionaire. Instead of spending the money on himself, however, Mr. Beast found more joy in giving it all away.
Last person to leave this pit of money wins $20,000.
And within 9 months had given away well over $1 million. He frequently goes around the country surprising people with random donations of thousands of dollars or challenging them to 24-hour challenges to win tens of thousands. And that's on the lower end. In 2019, he opened up a free car dealership and gave away 15 cars to unsuspecting shoppers.
I bought every single car at a car dealership.
Opened up a store where he sold items like TVs and gaming systems for the low price of free.
We are opening the world's first free store.
Played every carnival game at the largest Six Flags in America until he had won every single prize, only to give them all right back.
Me and the boys are going to win every single prize at one of the largest theme parks in America.
And gave his younger brother 24 hours to spend $100,000.
We have $100,000 in credit cards right here. You have 24 hours to spend $100,000.
Let's go, guys, let's go!
And that's just scratching the surface. Mr. Beast earns most of his money, or rather the money he gives away, from merch sales and brand deals, as well as the revenue he makes from views on his videos. He regularly pulls in tens of millions of views per video and has so far amassed an audience of over 24 million subscribers. Because of these huge numbers, his channel alone earns around $6.2 to $17 million a year. That's a whole lot of last person to leave challenges right there. Maybe Chandler will finally win some. PewDiePie. Oh, did you think we forgot the king of YouTube?
It is me.
Felix Schellberg, also known as PewDiePie, has held the spot of most subscribed to YouTuber for more than half a decade. I don't count corporations. In one amazing week in August 2019,
100 million! Ender Dragon. Marriage.
PewDiePie became the first person to pass 100 million subscribers, married his longtime girlfriend Marzia, and beat the Ender Dragon in Minecraft. A game which he single-handedly brought back into the limelight after years of being seen as a niche kids game. Along the way, the money and fame really haven't changed Felix much, as he lives in a humble house in Brighton, England, and drives an average car. But staying a down-to-earth and relatable guy has been the key to his success for so many years. He does treat himself and Marzia to frequent vacations to places like Japan and Thailand, where he spent his amazing honeymoon, and he's found an interest in designer clothes. Add to that his incredibly popular and constantly changing line of merch, and it's no wonder that this Swedish YouTuber called an estimate of his net worth of $40 million a little low in his 2019 video where he Googled himself.
His net worth to 68 million. Very old data, isn't it?
Each of Felix's videos pulls in millions of views, and he's frequently frequently at the top of the trending page, although not so much in America for some reason.
What?
The PewDiePie YouTube channel rakes in a whopping 10.5 to 28 million.
Top 10 smartphone brands. 10. Nokia. Nokia Corporation is Finnish multinational telecommunication, information technology, and consumer electronics company. Long ago, it was the foremost mobile phone brand, but over the years, it lost market shares, especially with the rise of smartphones. The popular Nokia mobile phone and smartphone brands are Nokia 2.3, Nokia 110, Nokia 6.2, Nokia 224G, Nokia 2.2, Nokia 4.2, Nokia 3.2, Nokia 9 PureView, Nokia 8.1, and many more. Currently, the company holds 10th rank among the top 10 best mobile phone brands. 9. LG. LG Corporation, formerly Lucky Goldstar, is a South Korean multinational company. It is the fourth largest chaebol in South Korea. The company associates the letters LG with the company's tagline, "Life's Good." LG makes electronics, chemicals, and telecom products. The company is known for its flagship G series of smartphones and a wide range of products including smart TVs. Popular LG mobile phone and smartphone models are LG W10 Alpha, LG K41S, LG K51S, LG K61, LG V502 ThinQ 5G, LG G8X ThinQ, LG Q70, LG Stylo 5 LG W10, LG G7 Plus ThinQ, LG V30 Plus, and many more. At present, the company holds rank 9th among the top 10 mobile phone brands in the world, and it didn't achieve excellent performance in many countries. LG's smartphone business recorded revenues of $1.12 billion in Q4 2019. Lenovo Group Limited, often shortened to Lenovo, is a Chinese multinational company. The company manufactures and sells personal computers, tablets, smartphones, servers, electronic storage devices, etc. Popular Lenovo mobile phone and smartphone models are Lenovo Z2 Plus, Lenovo P2, Lenovo K6 Power, Lenovo Vibe K5 Note, Lenovo Vibe K5, Lenovo A5, Lenovo Z5, Lenovo Z5 Pro, Lenovo Z5 Pro GT, and Lenovo Z5s. Lenovo couldn't maintain its position in the smartphone market, and currently, the company holds 8th rank in the top 10 best mobile phone brands in the world. Despite the increase of units sold by Lenovo, it lost its global participation. 8. Lenovo. Lenovo Group Limited, often shortened to Lenovo, is a Chinese multinational company. The company manufactures and sells personal computers, tablets, smartphones, servers, electronic storage devices, etc. Popular Lenovo mobile phone and smartphone models are Lenovo Z2 Plus, Lenovo P2, Lenovo K6 Power, Lenovo Vibe K5 Note, Lenovo Vibe K5, Lenovo A5, Lenovo Z5, Lenovo Z5 Pro, Lenovo Z5 Pro GT, and Lenovo Z5s. Lenovo couldn't maintain its position in the smartphone market, and currently, the company holds 8th rank in the top 10 best mobile phone brands in the world. Despite the increase of units sold by Lenovo, it lost its global participation. 7. Motorola. Motorola, Inc. was an American multinational telecommunications company founded in 1928. After having lost $4.3 billion from 2007 to 2009. The company was divided into two independent public companies, Motorola Mobility and Motorola Solutions in 2011. Popular Motorola mobile phone and smartphone models are Motorola Razr, Mate X, Moto Z4, Motorola One Zoom, Motorola One Macro, Moto G8 Plus, Motorola One Action, Moto Z3, Motorola One Vision, Moto G7, Moto Z2 Force, Moto G7 Plus and Moto G7 Power. At present, the company holds 7th ranking in the top 10 best mobile phone brands in the world. Despite the division in the company and then the acquisition by Lenovo, Motorola's annual sales are more than 36 million units. 6. Vivo. Vivo Communication Technology Co., Limited is a Chinese technology company owned by BBK Electronics that designs and manufactures smartphones and smartphone accessories in China, software, and online services. BBK Electronics also owns Oppo, Realme, and OnePlus. Vivo entered the telecommunication and consumer electronics industry with landline phones and wireless phones. From 2011, Vivo started its smartphone business. In 2015, it became one of the top 10 mobile phone brands with a 2.7% share that gradually increased. Popular Vivo mobile phone and smartphone models are Vivo Z1X, Vivo V17 Pro, Vivo S1 Pro, Vivo V17, Vivo Z1 Pro, Vivo S1, Vivo U20, Vivo V15, Vivo U10 and Vivo Y11 2019. Presently, the company holds 6th ranking in the top 10 best mobile phone brands in the world, with a 7.2% market share and sales of 103 million units. For more exciting videos, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. 5. Oppo. Guangdong Oppo Mobile Telecommunications Corp., Limited, commonly referred to as Oppo, is a Chinese consumer electronics and mobile communications company known for its smartphones, Blu-ray players, and other electronic devices. Oppo was the top smartphone brand in China in 2016. Popular Oppo mobile phone and smartphone models are Oppo A31, Oppo F15, Oppo A5, Oppo A9, Oppo Reno 2, Oppo F7, Oppo F5, Oppo F3, Oppo A71, Oppo F5 Youth, Oppo A83, Oppo F9 Pro, Oppo F11 Pro, and Oppo F9. Currently, the company holds 5th ranking in the top 10 mobile phone brands in the world. Oppo and Vivo are sister brands owned by the very same parent company Guangdong. Oppo is a subsidiary and part of BBK Electronics Corporation, along with Vivo, Realme, and OnePlus. Oppo's sales went up by 80% at 21,524.6 crores in 2018-2019. 4. Xiaomi Mi. Xiaomi is a Chinese multinational company. It makes and invests in smartphones, mobile apps, laptops, bags, trimmers, earphones, shoes, Mi televisions, fitness bands, and many other products. Its logo, Mi, stands for Mobile Internet. It also has different meanings, including Mission Impossible, because Xiaomi faced many challenges that had seemed impossible to deft in the early days. Popular Xiaomi mobile phone and smartphone models are Xiaomi Mi 9, Xiaomi Mi 8 Pro, Xiaomi Mi Mix 3, Xiaomi Mi 9T Pro, Xiaomi Pocophone F1, Xiaomi Mi 8 Pro, Xiaomi Mi 8, Xiaomi Mi Mix 25, Xiaomi Mi 8 Lite, Xiaomi Mi A2, Xiaomi Mi A2 Lite and Xiaomi Mi Note 3. Currently, the company holds 4th ranking in the top 10 mobile phone brands in the world. Xiaomi racks up a net profit of 3.4 billion yuan, $494 million in Q3 of 2019. 3. Apple iPhone. Apple Inc. is an American multinational company that designs, develops, and sells consumer electronics, computer software, and online services. It was the first company to launch the world's first smartphone brands by the name of the iPhone using its operating system named iOS. The best Apple iPhone models are iPhone 11, iPhone 11 Pro, iPhone 11 Pro Max, Apple iPhone 12, iPhone XR, iPhone XS, iPhone XS Max, iPhone 8, iPhone 8 Plus, iPhone SE. 2. Huawei. Huawei has overtaken as the world's second largest smartphone brand. It's a Chinese multinational company. It's a leading global provider of information and communication technology, ICT infrastructure and smartphone devices. Currently, over 80% of the world's top 50 telecom companies work with Huawei. Popular Huawei mobile phone and smartphone models are Huawei P30 Pro, Huawei Mate X, Huawei Mate 20 Pro, Huawei P20 Pro, Huawei P20, Huawei Mate 20, Huawei Mate 20X, Huawei Mate 10 Pro, and Huawei Mate 20 Lite, Huawei P Smart Pro. Market research firm Counterpoint. Currently, the company holds second ranking in the top 10 mobile phone brands in the world as this brand has surpassed Apple, according to the new report from market research firm Counterpoint. In December 2019, Huawei reported that its annual revenue had risen to $121.72 billion United States dollars. Until now, this company records revenue of $122 billion. 1. Samsung. Out of all other smartphone brands in the world, Samsung has managed to prevail in the list of top-selling phones in Europe. Samsung Electronics is a South Korean company, and it's a very reliable brand. Samsung smartphones built with a perfect combination of cost efficiency, performance, and accuracy. The latest technology and features of this brand make it the most demanding and trusted brand in the world. Popular Samsung mobile phone and smartphone models are Samsung Galaxy S20, Galaxy S10, Galaxy S10e, Galaxy S11, Galaxy Note 9, Samsung Galaxy Note 10 and Note 10 Plus, Galaxy S9 Plus, Galaxy S9, Galaxy Note 8, Galaxy Fold, Samsung Galaxy Fold 2, Galaxy M31, Galaxy Z Flip, Samsung Galaxy M21, Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Lite, Samsung Galaxy A71 5G, Galaxy A90, and Samsung Galaxy M40. Currently, the company holds first ranking in the top best mobile phone.
Top 10 richest TikTok influencers. The fate of TikTok ownership is still unclear. One thing is certain. Few people have gotten more out of the video sharing app than Addison Rae and the 10 other young celebrities on Forbes' first ever list of TikTok's highest paid stars. These viral video creators, all whom earned at least $1 million in the 12 months through June, have only just begun to monetize their fame, primarily through sales of personally branded merchandise and sponsored content for brands such as Sony, Chipotle, and Revlon. Let's meet the top 10 richest TikTok influencers, who each earn more than $1 million posting short videos on the app that President Trump loves to hate. 10. Riaz Afrin, $35,000. Born in 2004, Riaz Afrin is a social media personality and a fashion blogger from India. As of August 22, 2020, Riaz Afrin has over 43.2 million followers on TikTok, with over 2 billion likes. He actively posts lip-syncing and duet videos for his followers on TikTok and makes top-notch comedy skits. He often features other popular Indian TikTok stars on his accounts, including Mr. Faisu and Ashika Bhatia. Riaz Afrin built a cult following on Instagram before he rose to superstardom on TikTok in 2017. He is most famous for posting lip-sync videos that highlight his boy band teen charm. Afrin has been featured in India's music videos and movies since his popularity boom on TikTok. He's one of the highest paid TikTok influencers, making about $35,000 for each of his sponsored posts. 9. Zach King, $41,791. Zachary Michael King is also known as Zach King in a popular Vine, TikTok, YouTube star, and filmmaker. Michael is famous for his amazing VFX skills and the intriguing content he delivers onto. He initially started his career posting videos on YouTube in 2008 and later 2013 on Vine. King posted his first videos to TikTok, formerly known as Musical.ly, on February 28, 2016, which was him escaping a jail cell. His video caption was, "Need help posting bail? Oh, wait, never mind." He has amassed a following of 30 million followers, the third highest of any account on the popular app. So he made at least $1 million from all the advertisement and endorsement deals he got. He earns between $25,075 and $41,791 per post. King's stats include 42 million followers, 442 million likes, and an engagement rate of 5.4%. 8. Baby Ariel, $151,500. Baby Ariel was the first individual to surpass the 20 million followers mark on musical.ly, and her fame has only grown from there. The 19-year-old illustrious TikTok fame has led to multiple gigs on Disney Channel and Nickelodeon TV shows. As of July 2020, Ariel has 3.07 million YouTube followers, 9.7 million Instagram followers, 1.1 million Twitter followers, and 34 million TikTok followers. According to reports, she earns $151,500 for every post that she makes on TikTok. That's a lot. The TikTok influencer has been recognized for her work in multiple publications. As well, in 2016, Baby Ariel appeared on the cover of Billboard magazine with fellow musical.ly star Jacob Sartorius. Since then, she has been on CBS 60 Minutes, ABC's Good Morning America, CNN, Rolling Stone, Huffington Post, Forbes, People, USA Today, and Paper Magazine, among others. 7. Spencer X, $1.2 million. A little TikTok fame can inspire some wild-sounding dreams, and those come naturally to Spencer X. He devoted his childhood to obsessively studying beatbox YouTube clips and wants to be the first big-time celebrity beatboxer. After dropping out of Purchase College, he spent his 20s taking any performance gig he could land, including ones with Bluegrass Group as an a cappella quintet and a Russian rock band. He got on TikTok in February 2019, and by the following fall, he'd moved to LA, where he was couch surfing, juggling a bank balance of a few $100s, and trying to turn his 10 million fans on TikTok into a real career. Soon, sponsorships with Uno, Oreo, and Sony made that seem a lot more possible. Spencer X earned $1.2 million in the past from a mix of brand sponsorships and revenue from his YouTube videos, according to Forbes' inaugural list of TikTok's top earning stars. 6. Michael Lee, $1.2 million. Chances are you've died laughing in one of Michael's videos with his 5-year-old brother, Jonathan. The two are a dynamic duo of TikTok, so it's no surprise that Michael has been able to rack up over 36 million followers on the app. He has used those followers to score some pretty epic brand deals, hence his placement on this list. Among Lee's SponCon deals is his years-long partnership with Bang Energy Drinks. On those behalf, he posts several times a week. YouTube is next, he says. Jonathan will be a co-star there too, where videos featuring kids are incredibly popular. Two of his videos from earlier this year that feature him dancing on a descending escalator, one with his 5-year-old brother Jonathan, are amongst the most shared content ever on the app, accumulating a total of 478 million views. As of August 2020, according to Forbes, Michael Lee is the 6th highest paid TikTok influencer, making $1.2 million from 2019 to 2020. 5. Josh Richards, $1.5 million. Josh gets the title of the highest paid male TikTok star, making $1.5 million, thanks to his hard work and savvy business skills. To best capitalize on fame, it's about creating companies or getting equity in companies, George Richards says. Influencers need to learn how to properly monetize. To be sure, he's done plenty of traditional TikTok money making. Sponsorship deals with Reebok and House Party, a merch line, YouTube and revenue, a new song-making deal with Warner Records. But he's also co-founder of his own talent management company, Talent X, and his own drink business, Annie Energy, and joined the C-suite of Thriller, a smaller TikTok rival, as his chief strategy officer, a deal that compensated him with an equity stake in the startup. 4. Lauren Gray, $2.6 million. With over 46 million followers, Lauren is one of the most followed people on TikTok and has garnered nomination at the Teen Choice Awards and People's Choice Awards for her social media presence. When Lauren Gray first started, she went through a string of bad talent managers, she says, who misguided her and botched some early sponsorship deals. The only person who knows how to brand Lauren Gray and be Lauren Gray is Lauren Gray, she said in an interview. This mentality has worked out pretty well for her so far. In 2018, she got a deal with Virgin Records and has since released 8 singles. Until this spring, Gray had the biggest fanbase of any TikToker, leading her to land SponCon deals with Skechers, Hyundai, the Burger King. Her primary focus at the moment is her new Revlon deal, creating content for the company's TikTok account and Revlon-sponsored posts for hers. 3. Dixie D'Amelio, $2.9 million. As the older sister of TikTok's biggest star Charli D'Amelio, Dixie finds her fame unexpectedly and has become the third highest paid TikTok star, making $4 million from 2019 to 2020. They both left home to live in LA. They appear in many of each other's videos on TikTok, where Dixie has 32 million followers, and in the last few months, the D'Amelio signed joint deals with clothing company Hollister with Morphe, a cosmetics company. Dixie, meanwhile, is striking out on her own with her music career, releasing her first single, Be Happy, in June. It has accumulated 58 million streams and at launch became the #1 trending video on YouTube, ahead of Kanye West and Travis Scott music video also released that same day. 2. Charli D'Amelio, $4 million. Charli D'Amelio is officially TikTok's biggest star with 72.5 million followers. After launching her channel in June 2019, the 15-year-old from Connecticut rocketed to the top of TikTok in just a matter of months through choreographed dances to viral songs. Shortly afterwards, singer Bebe Rexha invited Charli to join her in opening for the Jonas Brothers at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. Things happened fast from there. She left her hometown of Norwalk, Connecticut and moved to LA. She was a guest on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon. She chronicled her time at Paris Fashion Week for Prada on TikTok. She struck sponsorship deals with companies like EOS Cosmetics and appeared in a Super Bowl commercial for Sabra Hummus. According to Forbes, Charli is the second highest earning TikTok star, making $4 million from 2019 to 2020. Reports suggest that she can charge as much as $100,000 for one post on her page. 1. Addison Rae Easterling, $5 million. A year ago, Easterling was just settling into life at LSU and making choreographed TikTok that drew on childhood as a competitive dancer. She hit 1 million fans by the fall and was getting recognized around campus. That fall, she posted her first sponsored content post for Fashion Nova, an online women's clothing store. Business opportunities followed. At first, she got the typical deals to do her own branded merchandise and sponsored content from brands like Reebok and watch company Daniel Wellington. Later, she became the main global spokesperson for American Eagle, a role that will splash her image across both digital and traditional TV and print ads for the teen clothing company. She's now a top-earning TikTok star, bringing in an estimated $5 million last year. Thanks to her 54.1 million followers, her new makeup line, Item Beauty, and deals with American Eagle and Spotify. That's all about the top 10 richest TikTok influencers. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to stay.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Charlie here, and today we're going to be looking at 10 haunted dolls caught moving on camera. So, dolls are supposed to be fun and innocent toys for kids to play with, but as we all know from movies such as Chucky and Annabelle, dolls can be very creepy, but they can't really come to life. Or can they? Watch these scary videos and decide for yourself. But before you get too frightened, be sure to subscribe and press the notification bell too. Coming in at number 10 is Head Turner. So this video is very scary. It's thought to be shot somewhere in South America, but I'm not sure in which country. The video is a home movie taken by a dad of his daughter and her doll. Everything appears normal at first and the dad's simply chatting with the daughter. He then realizes the doll's head slightly moves. He mentions it to his daughter, who looks down at the doll. But as she does this, the doll's head spins right round. It's almost as if the doll was turning to look up at the daughter. The daughter then very appropriately screams and throws the doll on the ground. You may think that's an overreaction, but if my doll stared right into my eyes, I'd be creeped out too. Not that I have a doll, of course. Please don't tell anyone my secrets. And what makes it even scarier is this is a basic doll that most kids have. It's not even one of those old-fashioned creepy dolls like the Annabelle doll. This is a modern, regular doll which seems to be haunted. Check out the video and let me know if this doll is really haunted or if there's another explanation.
Tô filmando. Caralho. Dori, a boneca tá se mexendo.
Quinceañera doll. So in Hispanic girls' lives, a quinceañera is a very important moment. It marks the time when they go from a girl to a woman. And the tradition for quinceañeras is to get a doll. The doll is decorated like the girl receiving it. And it's supposed to be the last toy they ever get, as they're transitioning from a girl to a woman. Now that would be all very nice and special unless your quinceañera doll happens to be haunted. Well, that is exactly what happened in this clip. This girl had just got done with celebrating her quinceañera. Her mother was filming her and her quinceañera doll, and they were having a nice time. She was simply recounting how good the day was, and that was when her doll went angry. Her doll appears to turn to her in a very angry and sarcastic way, almost as if she just dissed the doll and the doll snapped at her. Now, this may seem funny to you, but this girl was terrified. She let out a massive scream and threw the doll. Some people have said this video seems fake, but the girl's reaction seems very genuine. I'm so glad I don't have to have a quinceañera, as I would hate to have a haunted doll on my hands. I wonder how much sleep this girl got that night. I assume not much, especially if that doll was sitting up all night in her room with her. This video is bound to give even the manliest men chills.
Bueno, aquí les presentamos a la muñeca de Betty que se la regalaron a sus 15 años.
Ay, no manches, mira. No manches, mira.
Next up is Barbies. So you may think only quinceañera dolls or classic creepy dolls are haunted, but this video proves that even American commercial dolls can be haunted too. Barbie dolls are the most popular brand of dolls in the world, but according to this video, somehow one girl got her hands on a haunted Barbie. So one day a girl was in her room playing with her Barbie dolls. She gave each of them a voice and was playing out a story with them as kids do. That was when her father called her out of her room. Now, as kids, there's nothing worse than this happening, as you have to interrupt your game. Well, it seems like this girl didn't want to interrupt her game, so she shouted back no. But it seems that one of her Barbie dolls is on her dad's side, as she gives her a bad look. The blonde Barbie doll turns in a disapproving manner at the girl after shouting at her dad. The girl then screams and throws the dolls in the air, and she's so scared and shocked she even falls off her bed. Perhaps this dad took the doll to a psychic to get it haunted to teach his daughter a lesson. I bet you the next time the dad calls this daughter out of her room, she won't be saying no. But what do you think? Is this Barbie some kind of genius parenting device? Or is it simply a very creepy and haunted Barbie that needs to be thrown in the trash? In fact, the trash isn't secure enough. This is going in the garbage disposal.
Oi, amiga, tudo bem? Mas já com uma coluna, sei lá, você se mexia. O que aconteceu com você? Hã? Fala alguma coisa. O rato começou a língua.
Sara, vem comer!
Tá bom! Oi, amiga, tudo bem? Mas só com uma coluna, sei lá, você se mexia. O que aconteceu com você? Hã? Fala alguma coisa. O rato começou a língua.
Sara, vem comer!
Tá bom!
Next up is Ouija Bear. So we all know Ouija boards. They're supposed to be haunted boards that you ask questions to. Then, depending on the spirit inside the board, you'll either get a yes or no answer. Now, usually Ouija boards are said to possess external spirits, but there have been reports that Ouija boards can possess other things around you. Well, that is exactly what happened in this video. A group of guys are playing with a Ouija board. They set the camera up hoping to capture a ghost. They think they don't capture anything, but after they look back at the footage, they realize they've captured much more than a ghost. So the guys were using the Ouija board but weren't getting any luck. However, nobody realizes that the teddy bear on the dresser behind them is moving around. It appears that somehow the Ouija board has possessed this bear and has given it the ability to move. Do you think a Ouija board could really make a bear come to life, or is something else happening here? I think if this was a fake video, the men would have acknowledged the bear and given a reaction. But seeing as they didn't, perhaps this is real. The really creepy thing is, a few times the bear looks down at the guys as if the Ouija board is directly related to the teddy bear. At some points, the man on the left actually looks up at the bear. Perhaps he thought he saw the bear move out of the corner of his eye, but the bear stops moving every time this happens, so the guy likely brushed it off. Just imagine the looks on these guys' faces after they review the footage and realize this bear was possessed by the Ouija board. Afterwards, the guy mentions the bear and the guys even look at it. And when they do this, they pick it up, confirming there's no strings attached to this bear. Watch the video and let me know in the comments what you think was going on in this video. Next up is Moving Puppet. So, I'm not sure if this was just me, but as a kid, did you ever find puppet shows kind of creepy? There's just something about them which seems unsettling. Well, in this case, you would be right. At a museum, they had an old puppet. However, every day when the staff would come in, the puppet would be in a different position. Now, they thought somebody was breaking in and trying to steal the puppet, but not being able to. So one night, they set up a camera to try and solve this mystery. But the video captured way more than they bargained for. The video clearly shows the puppet moving around on its own. Now, the puppet's in a glass case, so this couldn't be string or something else. Also, the puppet only moves a slight bit, and its head doesn't move at all. So this video isn't as dramatic as some of the others on this list, but it's very realistic and creepy. Yeah, if I worked at that museum, I would quit instantly. Just imagine having to spend your working day around a haunted puppet. It's creepy enough having to spend my working day talking about haunted puppets, let alone being near one. Next up is Haunted Doll Challenge. So one day a YouTuber bought a haunted doll. He decided to do a challenge where he would put it in the back of every single video. He was going to do this for an entire month or until the doll moved. So he found a haunted doll online which the seller said moved on its own. For weeks and weeks nothing happened with this doll and he was very disappointed, as were his viewers. They felt like they'd been scammed and the doll wasn't really haunted. But one day the YouTuber made a video about how to add him on Google+. While he was talking about adding him on Google+, all of a sudden the doll moves. Now at the time he didn't realize this. And it was only until the comment section notified him that he realized this doll was haunted. The YouTuber called Spungflung then posted more updates about the doll. He said he could hear it at night whispering and laughing. And he also said that electronics with batteries nearby would drain suddenly. Later on, things get even more scary and the doll says things like no ghost and free me. Now, I'm not sure what these means or if it's even real, but the YouTuber claims it is and the comment section believes him. And I have to say, these videos do seem very realistic, but what do you think?
Click add to circles and then just click following. That'd be awesome. It'll only take like a few seconds and that'll get me to 1,000 followers, like a few seconds, and that'll get me to 1,000 followers.
No.
Helpless.
Next up is chilling with a doll. Have you ever been sitting on your couch watching TV with a big doll? Yeah, I'm pretty sure nobody has, but for some reason this guy was. It was likely his sister's doll or something, but anyway, he was sitting on the couch and the doll was next to him. Now, it's a pretty large doll, but everything seems normal. He was simply on his phone and watching TV and his friend was filming him. That is when all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the doll's head shifts around. The doll looks right to the guy and he jumps up in fright. I 100% don't blame him as this doll seems very creepy. I have to say this does seem the least realistic video on this list. That is because there's seemingly no reason why his friend was filming him in the first place. However, I can't see any string attached to this doll's head. And you can even see behind the guy and nobody was pulling any string, so perhaps this is done by electronics. What do you think about this video? Is it real or fake? And if it was real, why was the friend filming and why do these guys have a giant doll in their lounge? If this video does turn out to be real, then it raises way more questions than if it was fake. Next up is Hands Up. This video was filmed in 2010 and is very scary. One family had an old doll in one of their rooms. However, every morning when they woke up, the doll appeared to be in a different position. It would either be slouched over or its arms would be in a different place. They weren't sure what was going on, so they set up a camera one night. And that camera captured the scariest thing this family could ever imagine. At exactly 2 AM, this doll's arms moved up in the air. Perhaps this doll thought it was at the club and wanted to wave its hands in the air. Or maybe this doll is possessed by some kind of spirit which wanted to move it around. Now, the doll didn't fly or turn its head, and thanks to that, this has led me to think this clip may be real. I feel like if this family was going to fake the clip, they'd make it more interesting. But the fact that this doll doesn't do much makes it all the more realistic and scary. Take a look at the clip and get ready to be scared. Next up is Nutcracker. So Nutcrackers are very old traditional toys. They're usually used at Christmas. But they can also be kind of scary as they have very large mouths and move around like a marching soldier. And the funny thing about these traditional German toys is that they were actually made for good luck. They were designed back in the 17th century to keep bad spirits away, but it seems that the Nutcracker in this video is possessed by a bad spirit. The guy who recorded this clip says the Nutcracker's been in his family for 40 years, and it's an old legend in the family that it's haunted. Now, he didn't believe this and he set up a camera on it simply as a joke, but what he caught on camera was no joke. A few hours into the video, when nobody's in the room, the Nutcracker starts moving around. You can even see the guy's dog look at it in a very scared way and then run off. And as dogs are supposed to be able to sense ghosts, this makes it all the more realistic. I'll show the video sped up to make the movement more obvious, but it's very scary, so check it out. Next up is Walking Doll. So this is one of the most mysterious and unsolved clips you'll ever see. The video was taken in 2016. The video is taken in 2016 in a South American country. It shows a Hispanic grandma walking with a life-size doll. But the scary thing is, the doll's legs appear to move like a human's. When the grandma picks up the doll, its feet don't swing around at all and they stay stationary. The woman's grandson then tries to do the same thing, but the doll won't move. It appears this doll only walks with the grandma. Perhaps this is because the doll is the grandma's quinceañera doll. I really can't explain this video and it seems very scary, but this family seemed to be more endeared and amused by this. If I had this haunted doll in my family, it would be getting kicked out on the road. No offense, creepy life-size doll, but I do not need you in my life. Check out the video and let me know if you would want your doll to come to life or not. I vote definitely not.
¿Y usted también? Ah, Rosita. ¿Y nada más con usted camina, señora? A ver, güey. ¿Necesitan hablarle o así?
Check out the poll in the top right corner and vote for the scariest doll on this list. There are many beautiful and amazing bodies of water in the world, but it's often the best looking waters which are the most dangerous to swim in. These places are so bad for your health that you should never swim in them. Some will turn you into a skeleton in seconds, while others will leave you eaten by terrifying creatures you never knew existed, and some might just land you in foreign prisons. Let's dive into it, or maybe not. Samisen Hole, Thailand. The Samisen Hole is the deepest diving site in the Gulf of Thailand. The sand is very loose and silty, and this has earned it the nickname the Dark, Silty Hole of Doom. Its depth goes down 280 feet, and if you dive down this, you'll have to deal with many obstacles. This includes strong currents, which could pull you down. Also, oil tankers often pass through here. There's also very bad visibility, meaning that many people don't make it back up. Gigantic, ferocious fish known as barracudas also live down here. These are known to bite humans, meaning they can't swim back up. And to top things off, the US Navy also used this as a dumping site for ammunition. So you may well find yourself blown up underwater. If you think that giant red thing is some coral reef, then you're in for a big surprise. There's said to be hundreds of unexploded bombs in these waters. But amazingly, it's not illegal to swim down here. So if you're a daredevil, then try it out, although I would suggest against it. Lake Karachay, Russia. Lake Karachay is found in the southern Ural Mountains of central Russia. On the surface, it looks incredibly beautiful. Surrounded by grey and brown mountains, this nice teal lagoon looks very inviting. But what swimmers don't realize is this is the most polluted place on Earth. During the 1950s, the Soviet Union was trying to get nuclear weapons. Of course, this produces lots of nuclear waste, and almost all of that was dumped into Lake Karachay. Yeah, preserving wildlife was not their #1 priority back then. Some parts of this lake are so irradiated that you would pass away within 1 hour if you went into it. The Russian government have plans to fill this lake up with concrete at some stage. That's because they're concerned about people swimming in it. So if you do feel like being radiated while having a swim, now's your chance. The Boiling Lake, Dominica. The name of this place tips you off that it's not exactly safe, but despite that, many people get burnt by this lake every year. On the surface, it looks pretty beautiful and amazing. It's surrounded by the Dominican rainforests. and many believe the steam coming off the water is simply because the water's warm and the air's cold. Well, that's kind of the case, only it's much more extreme. You see, underneath the water is red hot magma. This means this lake is not simply a nice hot spring. Instead, it's around 100 degrees Celsius. That's 200 degrees Fahrenheit. So if you took a dive in here, then you would instantly become human soup. Lake Berryessa, USA. Lake Berryessa is the largest lake in Napa County, California. It was formed following the construction of the Monticello Dam in the 1950s. But the scary thing about this lake is a hole which seems to lead to the center of the planet. This is known as the spillway. The spillway operates when there's excess water in the reservoir. But over the years, people have been pulled inside the spillway. In 2019, footage was captured of a bird going headfirst into it. But according to ABC News, amazingly, it lived. According to experts, it's actually safe to swim in many parts of Lake Berryessa. You just need to make sure that you avoid the spillway because most people aren't as lucky as that bird. I can't imagine how scary it must be going down the world's largest drain. But this spillway saves way more lives than it takes. That's because it prevents water buildup, which could break dams and flood cities. Before we go on, make sure to check out my Patreon in the top right corner. There's exclusive content on there. The Amazon Basin, South America. The Amazon Basin is the drainage basin of the Amazon River. The Amazon is the second largest river in the world after the Nile, and it spans 8 different South American countries. But it's not the water of the Amazon Basin which is really the problem. Instead, it's all the creatures that live within it. For one, there are anacondas which can stay underwater for 10 minutes. There's also red-bellied pariahs which can tear you to shreds in seconds. The Amazon Basin is also home to electric eels. These can shock you at 600 volts. That's 5 times stronger than a standard wall outlet. But the scariest creature of the Amazon Basin has to be the candiru. These are tiny fish that swim up your private parts. I really can't imagine anything worse than that. So there's 4 pretty great reasons to avoid the Amazon Basin at all costs. Eagle's Nest Sinkhole, USA. On the surface, this place in Florida looks like just a pond. But if you dive down, you'll see it's like an underwater world. There's caves which lead to underwater passages, and gigantic underwater rooms bigger than football fields. The sinkhole goes 310 feet below surface. And over the years, many people have lost their lives in the sinkhole. This has led to some very eerie signs featuring the Grim Reaper all over the caves. In 1999, it had to close down because 10 passed away in a short period of time. But in 2003, it reopened because people would not stop diving down there. The sign includes many eerie facts. For example, the fact that over 300 people have passed away down the sinkhole. And also the very real warning that it can happen to you. But the sign doesn't seem to work because people keep diving down it every day. I guess that's Florida, right? Rio Tinto, Spain. You can find the Rio Tinto in Spain. It translates literally to Red River, and that's because that's exactly what it is. It looks like a maniac's just taken someone out by this river, but no, it's totally natural. The red water is thanks to 5,000 years of mining pollution. This red water tempts many people to take a dip. But if you do that, then you'll soon be nothing more than a skeleton. That's because this river is incredibly acidic. It's one of the most bizarre environments on Earth, and some scientists have said it's more like Jupiter's moon, Europa. So if you want to get a feeling of Jupiter on Earth, then go to this Spanish river. It's so much like Jupiter's moon that NASA have even done testing on the river. Lake Hillier, Australia. Lake Hillier is also known as the Bubblegum Lake. That's because it has an amazing pink appearance. The amazing pink color is permanent. This means that you could take some of this back home in a water bottle. It's thought the pink water is thanks to Dunaliella salina. This is a very rare and extreme microbiome. Despite the high salt levels, this lake is actually safe to swim in. So why should you never swim in it? Well, if you do, it could land you in Australian prison. That's because going to this place is illegal. The only way to get in is by aeroplane. And no one except for a few scientists is allowed anywhere near this lake. That's because Australia is trying to conserve it and study it. Hoover Dam, USA. Dams are all about moving and stopping vast amounts of water, so it goes without saying that you should never swim in one. If you take a dip in the Hoover Dam, then you could land yourself behind bars. It's a jailable offense, but there's even more serious reasons why you should never swim in this. The Hoover Dam is used to make a lot of electricity, and this means you could easily get an electric shock underwater. Of course, that would mean instant doom for anyone in the water. In 2017, a Welsh man named Aaron Hughes dived into the Hoover Dam. Amazingly, he actually lived and was arrested. The authorities said they were stunned that he survived. That's because everyone else who tried it has been sucked into the intakes. And some have even been sucked into the Bell Mouth spillways. I'm glad to see Aaron is putting Wales on the map. Nile River, Africa. The Nile River is the largest river in the world. It goes through many African countries. But we all know the biblical story of the baby left in the River Nile. Well, if you tried that today, then the baby would not make it to the other side. The Nile is full of crocodiles, only you won't see them coming because of the very clouded water they use to hide from their prey. It may surprise you, but every year, hundreds are taken out by crocodiles in the Nile. That's more than 10 times the number of shark incidents in the USA per year. Hanakapia Beach, USA. This beach is located in Hawaii, but it's not the normal peaceful Hawaiian beach you'd love to spend a vacation on. Underneath this beach are very strong riptides, and they've led to more than 80 people losing their lives. The beach is so dangerous it even has an infamous sign scaring swimmers away, and the prison-style tally marks on the sign are to count how many people have lost their lives at this beach. But now it's time to make your voice heard. Which body of water did you find most scary?
Zombie apocalypse.